The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus proposed another parable to the crowd, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a man who sowed good seeds in the field. While everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds all through the wheat, and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The slaves of the householder came to him and said, 'Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where have all the weeds come from?' He answered, 'An enemy has done this.' His slaves said to him, 'Do you want us to go and pull them up?' He replied, 'No, if you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until the harvest. Then at harvest time I will say to the harvesters, collect the weeds and tie them in bundles for burning, but gather the wheat into my barn.' He proposed yet another parable to them. 'The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a person took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, yet when fully grown, it is the largest of plants. It becomes a large bush, and the birds of the sky come and dwell in the branches.' He spoke to them of yet another parable. 'The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of wheat until the whole batch was leavened.' All these things Jesus spoke to the crowds in parables. He spoke to them only in parables to fulfill what he had said through the prophet. 'I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce what is laid hidden from the foundation of the world.' Then, dismissing the crowds, he went into the house. His disciples approached him and said, 'Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field.' He said in reply, 'He who sows good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, the good seed, the children of the kingdom. The weeds are the children of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest at the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. Just as the weeds are collected and burned up with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all who cause others to sin and all evildoers. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. But the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of the Father. Whoever has ears, ought to hear.'" The Gospel of the Lord. Don't you just hate these people who talk in riddles? Wouldn't it be so much nicer if they just said what they meant and meant what they say? But Jesus uses parables as a real teaching tool, not a riddle. He was speaking to his people at that time about things that they fully understood. It was an agricultural community. They understood seeds and weeds and wheat. Now for us, it's a little bit more difficult, but the points are plain. I was sitting at lunch yesterday trying to figure out what I was going to do with a homily for the children at the 10 o'clock Mass today. It just so happens that on the table there was a jar of mustard. And I picked it up, and if you do this at home, if it's the right kind of mustard, you have little brown flecks in the midst of the mustard. And those are the mustard seeds. Tiny little seeds like that grow into large bushes that are useful for the birds of the air. So what does that mean for us today? It means such an important lesson. The little things can grow into very big things. Small actions become very important. And individuals can have a profound effect. Let me just give you a few examples. Mother Teresa was a short little woman from Northern Europe who decided on her own that she was going to go to the poorest of the poor and minister to them. She went to Calcutta and found the sick and the dying and ministered to them. She felt so strongly about it that she went to the Pope and asked him to give her permission to start a religious order. Today, the missionaries of charity have over 5,000 sisters in their community. This one little nun, who you could walk by 100 times and never notice, has had a profound impact on the lives of the people she cared for and of the lives of people her words have touched. She was always talking about doing the little things in a loving way that would lead to great things. Think also of Pope John Paul II. Both of them now are saints. He went to communist Poland and stood in the middle of the central square there and preached to almost 1 million people. One man shook the rafters of the Communist Party. One man changed the world, changed the course of human history. And as we go through our lives, as we think about these things, we can come up with dozens of these people. Dozens of the people through our history and the church's history who have, on the strength of their own character, have started in a direction and created incredibly big things. These tiny little seeds have led to other things. And in the other parable, the weeds and the wheat, we have a pope now, Pope Francis, who may be in the midst of becoming one of those saints as well and leading things forward. But on one of his first trips, on the way back on the plane, someone asked him a question, and he said, "Who am I to judge?" And that shook the rafters a little bit as well. That caused some controversy. It causes some controversy even today. But when you think about it, that's exactly what he was talking about, is this parable. He was talking about his inability to separate the weeds and the wheat. He was unwilling to do that. He decided that let the master decide at harvest what were the weeds and what were the wheat. And it's a lesson there for all of us, that maybe we ought to let everything grow to see what it becomes. In this day and age, we are so quick to judge other people. We categorize people, we put them in boxes, we label them. And we move forward with the assumption that they'll never change. But maybe the lesson of this parable and the lesson of the words of the Pope will lead us to be a little less judgmental, a little more caring. So we let the fruit mature. We let the garden grow. And only at harvest time, someone else, not us, will make these judgments. So in these 3 parables, I'm only talking about 2, but in those 2 parables, there's profound lessons. That little things mean a lot, and that judgments don't. We have got to rein ourselves in and focus what we're doing to the future and bring everybody with us, the weeds and the chaff. Let us go forward from here, go out today different than when we came in. Let's be less judgmental. Let's give everybody time. Let's give everybody a chance to grow into what they become. Because the danger is, as we label other people as weeds, we are being labeled ourselves by others. We all deserve a fair chance. We all spend certain days as the wheat, and we all spend other days as the weeds. But if collectively we can get together and do little things for each other, we can have a profound impact on the world around us.